Alright, I'm back with another Cyberpunk 2077 video because surprisingly people seem to still be very interested in the fate of Cyberpunk 2077. It was the number one downloaded game on PS4 last month when it was restored to the store after being banned for 6 months or so. Evie says hi. She says thank you for all the birthday wishes yesterday. That is total downloads, not necessarily people buying it, but some people buying it, no doubt. And that also includes people downloading it on PS5 because it is technically a PS4 game. Now something has happened to kind of indicate where we might be going in the near future here. Now that the game is patched to a, quote, acceptable state, according to CDPR, the bug fixes are going to be less and less over time, and they are going to be focusing more and more on new content. And the first bit of new content that is coming is a series of free DLCs that will be dropped into the game at some point this year, allegedly, and possibly pretty soon here, because new leaks are starting to come out, and it seems to be getting closer and closer to that time. This list, someone told me this is like older, but this is the first time I've seen it, and it's making the rounds again. This is a different list than the Epic Store leak that we talked about a long time ago, though some of the things that showcases are similar. All we have to go on are file names, which is, you have to do some reading into things, but I think you can kind of extract a lot from this, and this is sort of what I expected from Cyberpunk free DLC, although I know when it hits, people are going to be like, we waited 7-8 months for this, like really? Because you keep in mind when The Witcher 3 dropped its free DLC, it wasn't big, but it was also like pretty much right when the game launched. I think within 2 months or so of the game having launched, they had all 16 pieces of free DLC out, whereas Cyberpunk had to massively delay everything because the game was so broken. So there are 17 items here. I don't know if all of these are definitely DLC, but that number lines up with how many we got from The Witcher, and there are some similar things in here. I'm just going to bring up the list so we can kind of go through the ones they showcase here. DLC 1 is listed as SWP. The interpretations kind of I've seen of that is that WP stands for Weapon Pack, because there are a number of these within the list. S might be smart weapons. That's the type of weapons in Cyberpunk where they have like auto-tracking bullets and things like that, so we might be getting a new batch of those. DLC 2 is J poses. Don't know what J means or what that stands for, but I'm assuming that this is something to do with photo mode poses. We have a bunch of action-based or standing poses that you can kind of contort V into for photo mode, which I actually really like a lot. I really like photo mode in Cyberpunk. I think it's a lot of fun. Obviously, this is very, very light cosmetic type DLC, but I believe that this is probably what this is going to be. DLC 3 is KAB01. I think we are getting into gig territory here, so there are probably going to be new gigs or side missions in specific locations. KAB is Kabuki Market, I'm assuming. DLC 4 is Quartz. I believe this has something to do with a new car or a new version of a car, because the Quartz is already a type of car in the game. I'm not sure if this is an individual car or a new a class of different variants or something, but I would be surprised if this was not a car, given that Quartz is already a car. DLC 5 is jackets. Maybe it's only new jackets. Maybe we're just getting a couple new cosmetic jackets. There are like hundreds of cosmetics in the game, so I would kind of be surprised if what they introduced was just a couple new jackets instead of a whole bunch of new outfits. Although if we're going back to The Witcher, when they had cosmetic additions, it was only kind of like a new armor set or something. It wasn't like a big list of clothing or anything. So this might just be a couple of jackets. I'm not sure. I'm hoping for more than that. And above all else, I am hoping for clothing preview in stores so you can see what things will look like on you before you buy them. Right now, you have to save and reload when you buy something so you know whether it's worth spending $20,000 on a jacket or a pair of pants that may end up looking terrible, because there is no clothing preview in the game, which... okay. DLC 6 is Apart. So the theory for this is that we might finally be getting some sort of level of customization of our apartment. Right now, that's just... we can kind of like have home bases in a few different locations. where you can like sleep and stuff to a certain extent, but our main one is still the one that we start with, but you cannot really change anything about it. The only thing you can really change is if you get, I think it's a lot of the named legendary weapons, and then if you deposit them in your stash, they fill in kind of the little places for them on the wall, so you can build a full collection, but that's really the only thing that changes in there. The only change I've seen in the apartment thing since launch is that they fixed it so V doesn't like sleep on her side, like hanging off the bed when you go to bed. She sleeps normally, but this could be some sort of customizable apartment thing, or this could be like theoretically a brand new apartment somewhere else in the city that we get. Maybe the original one is not customizable, but maybe we can purchase a new one and do something there. DLC 8 is Mirror. So, wait, no, I skipped one. DLC 7 is PvP. The idea here is a power weapon pack. Power is another kind of class of weapons in the game, so stands to reason it could be that. DLC 8 is Mirror. The one suggestion I read was like different mirror poses, because you can, you can like make different faces and things like that and different expressions, all of which look terrible because the lighting in most mirror shots is abysmal and makes you look like a ghoul. My hope is that this is something that allows you to change your appearance. Maybe you can look in the mirror and then just modify your face or whatever to kind of go back to the character customization screen and change yourself around. I would hope that would come with the addition of like new haircuts or new tattoos or things like that. But I think I'm getting ahead of myself. I don't even know if that's if Mirror even is that. I would be very, very, very displeased if we got all this new free DLC and there was still no way to change your appearance, which is far and away one of the goofiest things in the game, where you have a Cyberpunk game where you cannot alter your appearance at all, outside of like a couple cyberware things that like change your arms a little bit. Like it's insane that they did that. So they need a lot more options, and they need a way to kind of further customize your character. I would think that would be like a new vendor. I would have thought. I wouldn't think that would be something you do in a Mirror, but I'll take what I can get at this point. So I have big hopes for that one, where I might be let down. DLC 9 is ARR06. I believe that is going to be an Arroyo gig, somewhere in that area. I don't know any of like the fixed details about the gigs. We've heard rumors about Mr. Hands having new jobs for us or something like that, but we'll see. DLC 10, this might be the most interesting one. It's just called Monster. This is obviously kind of very open to interpretation and something I don't think has a direct, obvious connection to anything. When you think of Monster, the first thing you think of is like, oh, maybe there's like some cool boss monster cyber thing roaming the desert or something that we have to kill, and some new enemy type or whatever. That could be cool. It could be a mission called Monster, something like that. Or I think worst case scenario is that this is the name of a car, and that we might be getting a monster truck, like a jacked up, off-roader type vehicle with huge tires or something. Maybe not like full-on monster truck, like Gravedigger style, but I could see this being a car. So I'm not going to get my hopes up that like they're putting in a Cyberpunk raid boss or something, as cool as that would be. DLC 11 is J-Look. Again, this is, so if J poses is poses for photo mode, maybe J is code for photo mode for some reason. Maybe J is how you say photo in Polish or something. I don't know. But my guess here is look, as in like kind of the different looks you can give to the camera. Again, this is where V has a bunch of different expressions you can change your face to in photo mode, most of which are terrifying and look weird, some of which are okay sometimes. This could also be another reference to changing your look in some way, if the Mirror one isn't that, but this is just me holding out hope for that feature. DLC 12 is M Finish. People were joking that this stands for map finish, like we need to finish the game that we started that we didn't finish. Do not think that's what this is. I think this is different melee finishers. We have a few of these already with katanas or knives or mantis blades or things like that, where it's like when you get a kill, you stab them and like chop their head off or whatever, for depending on the weapon you're using. And this, I think it's different melee finishers, where we also got this in The Witcher 3. That was a free DLC as part of The Witcher 3. So that I think that is I'm pretty confident in that. DLC 13 is TWP, possible tech weapons pack, something like that. DLC 14 ARR 12, that would be another Arroyo gig. And then DLC 15 NG Plus. What could that one be? This is very clearly New Game Plus, something that really shouldn't be DLC. It should just be something that's in the game. I guess, people have been looking for a reason to do Cyberpunk over again. My stipulation with this is like, in New Game Plus, you usually get to start over with all of your upgrades and gear and stuff, and you carry it over from the beginning. The problem with Cyberpunk is that even on its hardest difficulty, like, you get ridiculously overpowered in most builds, like, really early on in the game. I was overpowered with melee probably like level 20, and then by level 50, I mean, you almost can't die in almost any mode here. So if there is a New Game Plus, I think it would have to come with like a higher difficulty setting. This would be kind of a level above and beyond just the idea of simply resetting the crimes in the area, which I know was a popular request, where once you clear those out, there's not really that many enemies to even go fight anymore, just kind of random clusters here and there. But this would be an entirely new game that you would start from scratch, and I'm not sure if you could overlevel past 50 or get more street cred, but you obviously could keep going and have more things to shoot or stab or whatever to level up your other skills that you had not necessarily used in your first playthrough. So we'll see how that goes. DLC 16 is JPN 06, Japantown. I think that's another gig. So that brings the total to 4 gigs. I do not know how elaborate these gigs would be. Most gigs in the game are pretty short. They're not very involved, and this kind of sticks with the Witcher 3 philosophy of, yeah, there's some new missions, but they're pretty basic. I assume they'll have voice work and stuff, but I'm guessing that they're not going to be anything super significant. Finally, DLC 17 is BWP. A little unclear what the B is here. People are saying it's blunt weapons, could be bladed weapons. I don't know, just melee weapons in general, but WP indicates another weapon pack. And if WP doesn't say weapon pack, there are no other weapons in this list, so I think it kind of has to be weapon related. But we'll see exactly how many weapons would be in each pack and how they kind of perform, whether we're talking about like kind of new generic models or these are like specific legendaries you can get or buy or do something with somewhere. Also, we have received kind of additional confirmation through data mining and such that they are still planning on doing longer, like episodic, DLCs like Witcher 3's, Blood and Wine and whatever the other one's called. Like bigger ones. We don't know exactly the scale they're going to be, but that does still seem to be their plan. They have said that publicly. They have canceled the Cyberpunk multiplayer game. They are still making kind of larger DLC for it that will probably be paid, and that is almost certain. That is definitely not getting here until at least 2022, and they are not talking about it at all. They do not want to create any expectations for that at the moment, other than some sort of real DLC will exist for it at some point. So in the end, like they've said all along, and like with The Witcher 3, this is pretty small DLC on the grand scheme of things, so it's not really going to be, I guess, a huge reason to jump back and play, probably breeze through the gigs in, an hour, and then maybe try out some of the new weapons and photo mode poses or whatever, but it's, even when the stuff does come, it's not going to be like a super, super significant thing. I don't know if this will be like The Witcher where they roll things out 1 week at a time. I don't really know if it matters. Like, I feel like it's going to feel even lighter if like this week it's new photo mode poses. We're like, is that really enough content for a whole week? But we'll see what they do. They could drop it all at once or spread it out. But I will certainly be going back to check it out, and I am curious to see kind of how this is going to be received among the community that has been kind of watching this game with horrified fascination, and yet there is still a core fan base here. I wrote about this recently, where there really is a dedicated fan base for this game, where they really like the world and they are disappointed by various aspects of it, but like they want to play more, they want new content, they want the game to be fixed, and I think there is continued interest in the game, whether it is genuine interest or like what new disaster is going to happen next. I'm currently going back through one of my unfinished playthroughs with my hacker character on PC, just to kind of refresh myself anticipating free DLC coming in maybe the next month or so. I don't know. And it's been interesting to go back and play it. Like on PC, it always ran pretty well, and that wasn't really an issue. But I forgot how overpowered my character is because I can just sit outside a building and kill everyone in it with hacks in about 30 seconds. So has not exactly been a challenge to get back into the swing of hitting suicide hack and having that spread through a whole building. So yeah, not the hardest. But I will continue covering the game through leaks or actual new releases. They do not like talking about anything. So the next time we hear about this might be when like the stuff is just about to be released, and we will see when that is. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.